high definition. This is KCAL 9 News at 2.
And coming up, stocks were up today, but the economy is still struggling. Coming up here next, we'll talk to a woman who predicted the fall. What else is she predicting? Stay with us.
You're watching KCAL 9 News at 2.
Well, imagine if you could predict the future. Maybe you would have seen the collapse of the economy coming or the mortgage meltdown.
Carmen Harra pays close attention to her intuition, and she has made some really famous predictions. She's the author of a new book. It's called Holiness, Embracing the Sacred Unity That Heals Our World. And Carmen is here with us now to talk about some of these predictions.
And good to be with you.
Well, thank you for coming in. How do you do this? Is this something that you see? Now, you say you're not a psychic. You're actually a psychologist, but you also have these visions, predictions.
I think the mind has the ability to transcend chronology, to go beyond the linear time. And I think the biggest minds of all time, they had a vision, you know, from Isaac Newton to Einstein. They all talk about the connection that exists between our mind and the universe. And I think it's an ability of the brain to actually open the door to a different possibility, because all the predictions have been so negative. The end of the world, all coming to an end. And that's not true. You know, 2012 is the beginning of another era, the end of a period in time, the end of a system, and giving birth to something new and so much better.
I'm glad you said we're going to be around after 2020.
We feel better already.
How did you know you had this ability? Was it something you realized when you were very young?
Really young. I remember I had a drown, you know, you were talking about a castle in Transylvania. I was actually born in Transylvania. Oh. And at the age of 5, I had a near-death experience, and the perception, you know, changed in me as a child. So I started to see and understand and see things that actually happen after a period of time. So I was introspecting this gift, and I tried to understand how the mind really works.
Wasn't that frightening for you when you're young to see things?
I was not aware. Later on I became aware, but the problem is you don't have to be afraid, and that's what the world should do. Turn fear into possibility, because I guess that people are afraid. You guys are talking about the stock market and everything, and the housing crisis, the economy, and there's fear in all of us. So the reason I wrote this book is to make people understand that fear is a destructive emotion, and we have to replace it with opening the door to love and to a new beginning. And if we come together, we can recreate and reform the world.
And what do you do with these predictions? Do you act on them? For instance, you predicted that the stock market was going to falter, and do you act on those?
Yeah, exactly. And I predicted that the stock market is going to fall 11 years ago, and I wrote my first book, Everyday Karma. Everything that's happening now is actually in my first book so many years ago. And I follow my own prediction, and sometimes even myself I'm kind of surprised that look what I said actually translated into reality. I actually think that the mind, what you think you project, you know, what you think you become, so the projection that is out there will transform into your reality.
Does everyone have this ability, you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're just not as tapped into it as
we're not tapping into it. Exactly, like we all have the voice, but we're not all singers. So.
Some of these predictions are pretty amazing. You said we'll eliminate Saddam Hussein, and you predicted that on Good Day New York in January of 1999. And the interesting one I find here is Al Gore will win the presidency but will not take office. You predicted that in 2000.
Yes.
How could
I was at the time, shocking for everybody, including myself.
Just, so bizarre, but.
And then we had the hanging chat.
Yes.
And you said that last year was going to be the year of the earthquakes, and it was a terrible year for earthquakes.
I also defined like 2011 like the year of political earthquakes. And I wrote a blog last year, and I said 2011 is the year when people are going to start marching in the street, and we're going to see presidents of the world disappearing overnight. And leaders of the world, you know, that they represent terror for the world, will just vanish suddenly. And that's exactly what's going on as we speak. You know?
Right. Exactly. We're seeing it all over the world. One more, and we'll see if this one comes true. Barack Obama will become president of the U.S., will have a hard time in the White House, and will not run for a second term. The president is here today trying to raise some money for his re-election. You said that 3 years ago. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much.
I'm looking forward. I love you guys. Thank you so much
you
for
very
having me. I appreciate it.
To learn more about Carmen Harra and her predictions, go to our website, kcal9.com. Click on Seen on TV. What are we going to do next? See, you don't know.
We were waiting for a big prediction. A lot of people ready to trade in their cars once they hit 100,000 miles.